Greetings, this is Rick Powers coming to you from my home office for Western Technical College, Math with Business Applications, introduction to week number 14. So this week is, there's a lot going on this week. First of all, I scheduled the quiz to be this week, and then after the quiz, I scheduled for two homework assignments. And the reason I did that was so that you would be able to work on the topics, which are not easy topics, so that you would have time to work on them before you get to the last week of the course, so that it wouldn't be just all of a sudden having to do this. So certainly if you need any extension on the work, please let me know and we can work that out. So the situation is that these topics are dealing with a special situation, but it's very common, and that is regular payments. And then there are three scenarios for these regular payments. And I'm going to share my screen with you and get to the notes for this particular topic. So if we go to Blackboard and we go to Math with Business, and if we go to the assignments and we go down here to week 14 and we look at the notes. So what do we mean when we say an annuity? And what I'm going to do is tell you what is in the book that is relatively important and what's in the book that's relatively not. Okay, it's important to know what an annuity is. An annuity is a situation where you are transferring money for a specific amount of time for a particular number of periods. And what we're talking about is a simple annuity here, in which the number of periods is the same as the number of payments. So that if you have something which earns interest monthly, your payments are also monthly payments. That's very common. If somebody's going to have a car loan or a house loan, a mortgage, that you would have it be monthly payments, and also the interest is determined monthly. And then there are other more complicated types that we're not going to deal with. And then this is very important. These are two kinds of annuity. The first one is called a future value. Now, this is not the same as what we were talking about earlier in the sense of a future value of just compound interest. A future value annuity is when you put in regular payments and you get a future value. It's similar, not the same. But then we also have this new thing, which is called a present value annuity. A present value annuity is where you start with a large amount and then the amount goes down over time. That's a present value annuity. So it's not the same idea as what we had previously in terms of talking about present value. Now, specifically in this situation, the present value, or sorry, the future value is used for investing. If you want to invest in something, then you're going to use this idea of the future value. You're going to put in money over time and it's going to grow. Most people do this for like retirement. You're going to put in money regularly and it's going to grow as the interest is compounded. But a business could certainly also use this method. However, the second one is the one that's most often used, and that is any kind of a loan. If you take out a loan, this is how the loan happens. You have this large amount of money. There is interest added every compounding time, but then you also pay off the loan every compounding time. And what you pay the interest, but you also pay down the principal. So then this amount of the loan decreases as you pay off the principal, and you also pay off the interest, and it declines and declines and declines. And so you're taking a large present value, which is the amount of the loan, and then it decreases over time. That's one situation for the present value annuity. The second one is once you get to be retirement age, let's just say, or if you have like a trust fund set up for children or something, and you have a large value at the beginning, and then it's a source of regular income so that you withdraw the interest and also part of the principal, you withdraw it from the account, and so it goes down over time. It's the same process, except you're getting money instead of paying money for a mortgage or a loan. So then, in each of these situations, you have to pay attention to what the actual situation is. Is it an investment? Then it is a future value process. Is it a loan or regular income? Then it is a present value process. Okay, so then in the textbook, you can have different ways to calculate these things. Now, another detail here is that we are always going to be using what's called an ordinary annuity. That is where those payments happen at the end of the time period. So if it's a monthly thing, then the payment is made at the end of the month. If it's quarterly, then it's the end of the quarter. If it's annually, then those things happen at the end of the year. Now, how does this work? It is possible to use a table. There is a table that's in the textbook, and it's here in the notes, so that you can find the interest per period and the number of periods, and you can see how this works. Again, with the money put in at the end of a period. But then there's also a formula. Notice that we're going to be using the future value of an ordinary annuity. And it's really important that you pay attention to the fact that the top of this fraction needs to be done separately from the bottom. Now, the way that my coworker, Carolyn Chapel, she made a number of videos about how to do this, and she goes through all the different keystrokes on the calculator to make this happen. So it's very helpful that she did that for us. And so then you can just look at what she did and exactly how those things operate on the computer or the calculator. Now, that was an introduction to just the different kinds of annuities that there are. It can grow into a future value, or you can start with a large amount that goes down, and that's a present value. And the present value works for loans and also for income. So then, when we go to the next homework assignment, what you will see is the sinking fund and the amortization. Now, I didn't invent this or come up with this definition, but it is the case. Putting money in at regular times is called a sinking fund. It's not a sinking ship. A sinking ship goes down, all right? But it's putting money into the kitchen sink. You fill it up. So the sinking fund is a fund that grows just like putting the water into the kitchen sink. This then, if you know what the future value is, you want to find the amount of payment that goes in regularly, then that is finding a sinking fund payment. Now, That was the first scenario. The second one is for a loan. How do you do a loan? You pay it off at regular times. The process of paying money in to take a large value and taking it down to zero is called amortization. Comes from the Latin. We see it in mortal and mortician. Amortization or amortization is killing off the loan. It's taking it from a large amount down to zero. So then when we say, what are those payment amounts? That's finding an amortization payment for that loan. What's the third scenario? The third scenario is that you start with a large amount of money and then it comes out in income. And so you started with, let's say, $100,000. You take it out. You are amortizing that large amount by taking out the income. So you can do a sinking fund payment if you're doing an investment. You can do an amortization for a loan. You can also do amortization for regular income or withdrawals, if you want to say. All right, that's a lot, I understand. And it's not necessarily easy to do, so it takes some practice. It'll take some work for you to look through the videos. But as I said, Ms. Chapel has put them out there, and they're very detailed, and they'll show you all the different steps of how to do the things. All right. I am certainly at your disposal in terms of questions. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. Nick, through Learner Support's available. Julia in the Online Math Center is available. And I don't want you to feel restricted by your schedule, okay? If you're not able to come at the regular video conference times, just let me know and I'll schedule a different time for you. That's not a problem. And so then next week, it'll just be a quiz over these homework sections, and then we'll be all done. Wow, we'll be all done. All right, so yes, please let me know if you have any questions, and best wishes for this week.